Morning, everyone. I hope you are all doing well, and I hope that you can all see my screen and hear me clearly enough. If you're having any problems with viewing the screen or any problems with the sound, please do just drop a comment in the either the questions box, or I think there is a comment box there as well. I think it's a chat box. So I'll just wait for literally 2 seconds to make sure I don't get any of those come through, and then we can continue. Okay. I think all is well. So, just quickly to introduce myself, my name is Frankie and I work for the new business side of the agency works. Okay, and just to start off by actually introducing who we are and what we do, we are the Agency Works and we are the implementation partner of a project management system called Synergist. So not only do we provide the project management software, we also work a lot around the business process side of things within project management. And the areas that we're going to focus on for today's webinar are these areas here. So we're going to look at reporting, scheduling, job tracking, new business, time recording, estimating and quoting. We're going to look at why these areas are so important to any business and how you can make them as efficient as possible to obviously see the benefits. Now, throughout this webinar, I'm going to be kind of flicking to and from Synergist, which is one of the UK's leading project management tools, just to give you a bit more of a visual look into, things like the reporting, job tracking, scheduling, time recording. So let's kick things off. I'm just going to start by sending a quick poll out because I'd like to know which of these areas you are most interested in developing. So if you guys could just answer those, I'll just leave that up for a couple of seconds until we get some answers back and then we can begin. Okay, so the answers are coming through, and to be honest, it looks like all of those are being answered, which is nice because we are going through all of those today. We've got quite a lot to get through, so I'll try not to rush too much. Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, guys, for answering that. All right, so let's start by looking at reporting. Okay, so why is reporting so important within any agency? Well, reporting gives you full visibility on your business from start to finish. So all these reports that we're going to be looking at and talking about will help to increase efficiency, growth, profitability, and it will also allow more time to be creative, which any creative agency, I'm sure, will be happy about. Okay. Also, it allows you to see the good bits and the bad bits of your business, and that will allow you to make, actions that are needed, and it also allows you to make more informed decisions on the findings that come out of all of these reports. So how do we get these reports and what type of reports do we need to be looking at? So new business forecasting. A few people on the poll answered that new business was an area. So new business forecasts are really important to see what's coming through the business and where is it coming through. How can we push that through into, live clients, live jobs? Also capacity plans. What resource might we need in months to come, in weeks to come? Okay, so how can we resource our agencies? And then you've also got the financial element. So all of those areas that I've spoken about, so reporting, new business, job tracking, are really important for the financial elements of any business. So, being able to get those reports to relate back to their accounts package ultimately will give you visibility on things like profitability and do we need to grow and things like that. You've also obviously got job health in there, management key performance indicators, really key, and studio management. So what I'm going to do in this area is I'm actually going to flip to some of those reports just to give you a bit of an example. Okay, so I hope that's nice and clear. So what we're looking at here is a typical example, I'm just going to hide those zeros, of a new business forecast. So what this is showing us is the client along the left-hand side, and then we've got what job potentially is coming through. And then we've got the value against each of those jobs. So in September, we can see the total amount here where my mouse is that we should be receiving through the business, or potentially. Okay, in October we can see it, and also in November. It may be that if 1 month is looking a bit low, how can we push more through? Okay, and something that I'm going to go on to in a minute is the chances you think you actually have of winning each of these. So within a system like Synergist, you can actually put what's called a weighted value on. So that is the chance you think you've got of winning them. If you've got a job for 10 grand and you think you've got a 50% chance of winning it, in these reports, it will show 5 grand. So it gives you a really clear, realistic visibility on, are we meeting our targets? How much have we got coming through? Okay. Other reports that I've mentioned are things like capacity plans. So this is for not only new business, but it's for, the whole business. So this is looking at potential hours coming through the business. Okay, and at the moment I've got it set to looking at resource. If we wanted to, we can actually do things like drag and drop. So if I wanted to look at, okay, so we've got those hours coming through, what jobs are they from? Okay, and it may be that if one resource is slightly under on their sort of, targeted hours, maybe we can mix things up a bit in the estimates to, level that out. And also, if people are using freelancers, this will give you the visibility on, do we need a freelancer in November? How many hours as a business do we have to sell? Are we going to sell that in months to come? Okay, and you can look at these on live jobs as well. So are we actually selling them? So what are we kind of potentially selling against what we're actually selling in terms of hours? And then, as you can see, I've got a long list there. You've got things like your billing forecasts. So if we win the jobs, when will we plan to bill for them? You've also got timesheet tracking. That's, quite a standard report that's really important. And then you've also got this one here, which is really key for new business. So this is looking at, so these are the values against the potential jobs, and we've got the clients on the side there. Again, if we wanted to, we could actually look at what jobs they're coming from, but I'm just going to get rid of that to keep it nice and clean. And we're looking at where these jobs are coming from. Okay, so we can embrace the areas that are working. We can see that advertisement is getting a lot and it's got a lot of value to it. So let's embrace that. We can see that some marketing features aren't working so well. Can we improve that? Or is it something that is not too profitable for our business? Should we not do that? Okay, you've also got your estimate versus actual. I'm going to talk a bit more around that, obviously, when we get to the job tracking. And then you've got your sales actual versus sales plan. So what do we plan to bill based on, new business coming through, based on live jobs that we've got running through the business? And what are we actually billing? Okay, other type of reports that are really useful for businesses are things like amendment reports. So are amendments an issue? I know that a lot of agencies struggle with, the client moves the goalposts, or, they've estimated a job and then there's a million amendments to it. Okay, so how can we help that? Well, the first step is we can actually report on it. So we can look at, I think I've only got one in here, but we can see that this client on this job have spent 2.25 hours on amendments. So we can look at the whole business and we can break that down by client, by job, etc. Okay, so reporting is so key within any business. All right, so the next thing, just close that. So the next thing that we're going to move on to is actually new business. Okay, so why should we track new business? Okay, we need to plan ahead. So we need to figure out, do we have enough resource? What resource do we need? If we don't have enough resource, what areas, what type of freelancers may we need? And also a report that we just looked at, where is new business coming from and how can we embrace that? And we can also track accurate data to get new business forecasting, pipeline reporting and capacity plans. Everything that we've just had a look at, all right, is so key for new business and for job tracking, which we'll obviously get to. So how do we get those reports that we've just looked at? Well, First of all, it's really important to log activities for communication. So, not necessarily on the reporting side of things, but so everyone knows if we've got a certain amount of opportunities that are 50% chance of winning, how are we going to get those through to live jobs? Okay. Also keeping track of expected close dates, and like I just said, what's the chance of winning them and what is the value against those jobs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show an example of actually how we can do that within Synergist, just to give a bit more of a All right, so what we're looking at here is a list of opportunities. So this is your new business. These are all of the jobs at quote stage. We've not yet won them, but we're hoping to. So whether these are retained clients, okay, these may be retained clients, and it's at the beginning of the year. We want to make sure that we get those through, and have another yearly contract with them. If not, it's just an ad hoc job, exactly the same thing. So we've got the client, we've got handler, we've got a description. Now, where my mouse is here on the expected close date, this is when do we think, if this job is promoted to a live job, when do we think that will be? Okay, we've also got a pipeline stage. So where exactly are we in the process with this particular client, with basically the pitch or the quote that's out with them? All right, and then the percentage bar here is showing the weighted value, so the chances we think we've got of winning them. And you can see we've got the quoted value against each of those as well. So this gives full visibility on that new business. It allows you to produce those reports that are needed within the business. Okay, some other reports for new business are things such as, if I just open my toolbar up again. So what we can do is we can have a look at things like pipeline reports. So this one here is showing that we've only got 4 that have given verbal commitment. We've got loads in initial communication. We can start looking and seeing how can we push those through? How can we get more verbal commitment? How can we get more business running through? Okay, and if that does happen, we need to look at what resource do we have? Do we have enough resource? And that's where these sort of estimated hours come through, which again is something we'll have a look at in a minute as well. Okay, so the next area that we're going to have a look at is estimating and quoting. Now, this is a report that I've actually pulled from an agency food group. So this is a group for like-minded individuals, agency owners, directors, managers, the studio team. What are the challenges, what are the biggest challenges that you face of running your business? Now, as you can see, clear as day, over-servicing has come in top. This is a comparison from 2015 and 2016. All right, and you can see that both years over-servicing has come in. Now, second is increase in profitability. So that is obviously come from, it could be a reason for over-servicing, okay? So the reason that I've brought this up in the estimating and quoting side of things is because there's usually 5 main reasons, for over-servicing. Now, those 5 reasons are inaccurate estimating, hence the sort of timing of this particular stat. We've also got there spending too much time on a job. So if your team are spending too much time on a job, that could be why jobs, are going over. We've also got human error, which is something that we can't always help, but we can start looking at patterns on human error. Excuse me. Also using a different resource. So if you've estimated for a designer, but somebody else has done it, say if we've estimated for a junior designer, but actually a senior designer have done it, that could again be a reason for why this job has gone over. And then finally, we've got client moves the goalposts, which again is going back to those amendment reports and having it all in one place. So ensuring that all data is as accurate as possible will help you to, again, look at patterns. So if a client, if one particular client that, it's a really profitable client to you, but keep moving the goalposts. Okay, so you're billing a lot of money, you're increasing profits and things. However, is that client actually as profitable as you think? If it keeps moving the goalposts, perhaps it's not. Perhaps you've got other clients that are more reliable in terms of, not allowing your business to overservice. All right, so I'm going to show a quick example of an estimate. So if I just open up my tab again. All right, so if we go on to our list of opportunities and we actually go into one of these, this is an example of a really good estimate. All right, now just quickly before I do go on to this, I'm going to release another quick poll just to get some more feedback so I know which areas to talk about more. So which of these reasons are having an impact on your agency, if any at all? So please just take 2 seconds to answer that and we can then talk around it. Okay, again, we've got a lot of answers for all of those actually, which is very interesting. All right, so we've got quite a high percentage that have answered spending too much time on a job, and that's very interesting, okay, because that's what we're, going to get onto. So it all starts from this estimating side of things. Now, if we're estimating accurately, we can give accurate data to our resource, all right? So if we estimate 5 hours for a junior art director, we can give those 5 hours to the junior art director. If it takes longer, we can report on that. So we can start looking at patterns, all right? In this particular estimate, we've broken a job down into 3 different phases, okay? And under each of these phases, we've worked out what do we need, who do we need, and how long do we need it for? And also we've thought about what time, so that's our resource that we can see, any internal materials and any external purchases, so whether that's print or photography, whatever it may be, okay? It's allowing you to account for all of that and giving you some nice totals there. Now, it's really, really important to estimate accurately because that's what you're then going to be passing on to your team. All right. So one of the reasons why, a lot of studio teams spend too much time on their job is because they love doing what they do. They're creative people. They get, stuck into a job and they spend too much time on it. Also, if the client moves the goalposts, this will give visibility on this is what we originally estimated based on that brief. This is what's changed, okay? So you can feed back to your client and make them aware, okay? So ensuring that this is accurate is so key. One thing that we have noticed with working with agencies for years and years, sort of 20 plus years, is that it is really important to keep your estimate and your quote separate. Okay, I know a lot of agencies do this, but I also know that a lot don't. So the estimate is your internal, as I said before, who do you need, how long do you need it for, okay, and when do you need it? The quote is what are we going to sell it for, all right? Now, ideally, you can pull that estimate straight through to a quote and not adjust it, okay? But if your client has got a restricted budget, or if it's new business and you want to add a bit of discount, or if it's a retained client, you might have some sort of agreement, in which case you need to do that. You need to adjust those figures, the value in the quoted area. So in this area here, okay, you can manipulate these values and that will change your gross profit, so your margin and your net profit for you, okay, to make sure you're still within that target. Now, the estimate, like I said, should never ever change. The only time it should change is if the brief has changed, because this is what your studio team will be given, okay, to then carry out this work. Even if the client's got a really strict budget, so this is coming out at estimated charge, sort of nearly £7,000, okay, but if the client's got a budget of £4,000, that's up to you whether you sell this for £4,000 or not, but this needs to say the same. Okay, so the next area that we're going to have a look at, if I just quickly go back to here, is scheduling and time recording. So again, so key for, resource spending too much time on work. And also, inaccurate estimating has a massive effect on this. And again, when the client moves the goalpost, this is something that is really key. So time recording, you need to be able to see, okay, so they've moved the goalposts. How has that affected our business? All right. So why do we need to schedule and time record? Now, scheduling, I think it's really, really key for a business, don't get me wrong, but time recording I think is more important, okay, because that actually gives you the actuals. All right, so gain full visibility on jobs that the team are working on. That will allow you to produce profitability reports. It will allow you to look at utilization rates. That will allow you to see, have we got enough resource? What are our resource doing? Okay, could we be allowing more time? To get more jobs running through if we get their utilization rates up. And also, evidentially, the team have an accurate visibility on what is expected of them as well, because you'll have full control over the business. So how do we do that? Now, scheduling accurately with the hours taken from the estimate is really important, as I've mentioned before. You can look at things like availability and booked reports. So look at what resource is available for what, and look at what resource has been booked for what. All right, so you're not overbooking people. Split the work if it's needed. Okay, so ensure that all of your resources are utilised. And in terms of time recording, allowing, this is something that is a challenge within agencies. So making it as easy as possible, is beneficial. So having something like a dashboard holding individual information, so everyone knows exactly what is expected of them. How many chargeable hours do I need to do this week? How many, internal hours, so admin and phone calls and things, do I need to do to achieve my utilization rate? Ultimately, to increase profits of the business, which everybody wants. Recording time daily, that will not only give the account handlers, project managers, better visibility on job tracking, but it will also allow it to be more accurate because they'll be able to, remember what they're doing. I don't know about you, but I don't know what I did yesterday. I wouldn't be able to record a timesheet. So doing it daily is so key. And then things like setting incentives can help people to record time, and also using an app, again, just to make it nice and easy. If they've forgotten to do it, they can do it when they get home within, seconds. So just to show an example of a scheduling tool that can be used, or, people use these on Excel or in different systems, but something like this is really key. So at the top here, we've got all of our staff. The green is showing they're available, the yellow is showing they're fully booked, and the red is showing that we've actually overbooked them. All right, so everyone has visibility. So it's usually, the account handlers or project managers that will be scheduling these hours out once they've been, quoted for. And promoted to a live job. If we look at this bottom one here, we can see that these are the estimated hours. So we've got the client name, we've got the description of the job, we've got what resource we need, we've got the handler of this job, the due date, and then we've got here where my mouse is, the estimated number of hours. Okay, what we do is we just literally drag and drop like so. We can see we've got 2 hours remaining, 8 have been booked. And if I drop that again, we can see we've now got no hours remaining. So any jobs that are promoted to a live job will be sat within this area. You can also schedule opportunities, so jobs at quote stage, if they're, of high importance and you've got a high chance of winning them. And your client has a strict, deadline to get those in. Why not schedule them? Why not plan ahead and get them in? So not only the studio team know what they're doing, but also the account handlers know exactly what resource they have got. They can start looking at reports, like I said before, about availability and things like that. All right. I'll show you a quick example of a typical timesheet view. Now, this obviously isn't the app, so obviously do excuse the look of it. But this is what I was talking about when I said having something really nice and simple. So having a timesheet dashboard there, so they know how many chargeable hours, how many non-chargeable hours, having a calendar view here, and then when they go to record time, just making it as easy as possible. So you can set a timer, or at the end of the day, they can just come in and say, I did 4 hours on that job, 2 hours on that job. Now, allowing them to write notes as well is really, really key, because that will then, when somebody goes into that job, everyone has full visibility on exactly what is happening with that job. If you've gone over on hours, why have you gone over? You need to let somebody know. Bless me. Okay, so moving on to the next area is job tracking. Again, something that's really, really key. Why is it key? It allows you to get full visibility on your job from start to finish, not only for you, not only for your account handlers, project managers, etc., but also for the client. Okay, so it gives you that what was estimated, what have we actually completed so far. It allows you to make more informed business decisions before it's too late, before the client moves the goalpost and you go way over that budget. Okay, so how do we do this? Now, there are a few techniques. So you could have things like a thermometer bar showing how far through the budget you are on each job. And that's based on, what time has been recorded. So if we've estimated 10 hours, if 5 hours have been recorded, we're 50% of the way through the budget. And we can go in there and make sure we're actually 50% of the way through the job, look at any notes that have been recorded as well. Okay, things like setting alerts on a system is really important. Where you could set an alert when a job gets to, say, 50% and 75%. That will allow, again, account handlers, anyone that's in control of these jobs, the handlers, to do something about it, all right, if there is something that needs doing, okay? And you can also inform back to your client on how that job is getting on. All right. Again, another thing is that they could have their own views set up. So just focusing on their jobs that they're in charge of, and they can find patterns on certain jobs or with certain clients. So you can start reporting on the estimate versus the actual, some of the reports that we looked at before, and that can show you patterns. So if one particular client is going over constantly, or is one resource going over constantly, or is one job going over constantly? Now, that sounds very negative. It could also be going under, which is, great if it does, allows more time to do other jobs. Okay, and also make sure time is being recorded daily and checking those notes. So just quickly, an example of the type of jobs list, so the type of view that's really, really useful for job tracking is something like this. So you've got all jobs. Like I said, you could split this down, okay, so people can have their own particular views, their own jobs that they're working on. If you've got different elements within your agency, so if you've got digital, bit of design, bit of communications, bit of PR, you can break those up to look at elements, and you can report on those different elements within the business as well. Now, these thermometer bars are what I spoke about before, so these are showing you how far through the budget are you. So if I were to go back onto that job, once there's been time recorded on it, we can see that we were estimated 5 hours. Actually, it took 10 hours. Why? Let's see if there's any notes against that. And you can see notes can be added here, and we can look at who's done it, why it's potentially gone over. Is it because the estimate was wrong in the first place? That's the type of patterns we can start looking at when people are recording their time. All right, and finally, what are the benefits of using the right tools? And not only using the right tools, it's not all about using the right tools, but it's really, really important to have the right processes in place as well. Now, all of those processes that we've looked at today will give greater visibility to allow more informed business decisions. It makes everybody feel more comfortable. Okay, it improves organisation, it allows happier staff because they know exactly what's expected of them, happier clients because they have, visibility on their jobs that you're doing, and, evidentially happier management as well because they've got full visibility on their business. They know what's doing well, what's not doing well, what can we do to improve each of these areas. Okay, and also everyone knows that if they go into a job, they can see exactly what is happening with it. You can log things like activity. So if you ensure that within whatever you use, so if it's a job card, make sure that the studio team are logging activities so everyone's got visibility. Okay, and then the management have some nice clean reports to look at, whether it's at the end of the week or the end of the month. Okay. So that's it from me. If you would like to look into any of those details more, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I'd like you to just rate this webinar if you wouldn't mind taking just 2 more seconds. We are actually on time, which is nice, not gone over. I'll wait for some of those to come through and then I'll let you get on with your day. And like I said, if you would like any more details on those areas, or if you would like me to send the recording of this webinar over to you, please feel free to ask. You've got my email address behind there, and I look forward to hearing from you.